Welcome everybody to today's session, and I would like to talk about diversity management and diversity hobbyism. So there are many articles on the news about diversity issues such as age discrimination, such as challenges that people have faced regarding gender, regarding skin color, regarding ethnicity, regarding race, regarding immigration. Especially here in South Florida, we see migrants coming in every single day. So our policymakers, our leaders have to obviously make rules and policies in terms of how do we deal with the migration. There is a diversity element associated with all of these. And I want to focus more specifically on diversity hobbyism. So diversity describes the personal, the professional, the cultural characteristics, as well as qualities that make all of us either similar or different from another individual or individuals within our classes, within our teams, within our communities and workplaces. So diversity is inclusive of all of the characteristics that make us unique as human beings. So that's a very simple definition of diversity. Diversity can include, again, age, it can include ethnicity, it can include religion, nationality, and things that we can see through the naked eye. However, diversity is much deeper. It includes things beyond what we can see by the eyes. In other words, it includes people's experiences, the skills that they have, the abilities and disabilities that might be associated with a person, in financial status, for example, marital status, et cetera, et cetera. So diversity can have many dimensions. Some of them are apparent through the naked eye, some of them are not. And in that case, diversity sometimes can bring about opportunities as well as challenges that need to be dealt with. As a matter of fact, the formal labor secretary, Robert Reich, mentioned that no longer are Americans rising and falling together as if in one large national boat. He continued to say that we are increasingly in different, smaller boats. So that means that diversity within the American society is increasing, and we must be prepared for it. And you and I know that nobody's really born a bigot person or a racist person or an ageist person, but sometimes adults voluntarily become one by wanting unearned economic, social, or political success through those who are easily influenced by propaganda, by fear, by manipulation, by prejudice, by stereotypes, and by discrimination, despite the fact that children are born like a clean slate. But eventually, as we grow and socialize in society, we pick up some discriminatory or prejudice practices that continues into adulthood and into the workplace. So we need to go beyond just talking about diversity and inclusion. We need to make it our strength. In other words, we need to prevent illegal discriminatory practices that are not just illegal, but are unfair and unethical, because that creates exclusion, and that's not good for our competitiveness in society. That's not good for teamwork. That's not good for synergy. And that's obviously not good for productivity and happiness and workplace satisfaction. So this is where diversity hobbyism comes in. Most people do not necessarily read too much about diversity hobbyism, but I would like to expand a little bit more on this topic, simply because it does bring about some really important points, like the diversity debate being filled with passion, but unfortunately, we're not making much progress. So one of my colleagues, Dr. Shaista Khilji, wrote an article in 2021 that really has some good points about diversity hobbyism. She mentions that the post-George Floyd murder era after May 2020, we see that racial awakening appears to have intensified yearning for social justice. Professionals have observed renewed passion in the classrooms, in workshops, in interviews with diversity practitioners and consultants. Social media also has been a buzz with corporate announcements pledging support and influencers posting their appeals publicly. To an outsider, though, the diversity debate does appear filled with passion, with appeal, with rhetoric. Still, there seems to be a lack of progress. And Dr. Khilji asks, why are we not making sufficient progress despite the passion and so much talk and rhetoric, perhaps? So let's start by talking about what do we know about diversity. So in her article, she says, we know that diversity works is arduous, and changing the company culture or shaping the national debate is a very, very long-term commitment, which requires concerted effort on the part of the managers, the human resource department, and each and every one of us as employees of the organization. Research indicates that pledges without meaningful action alone cannot address systemic racism. However, debates on social media could easily give the impression that the public is woke, and organizations are finally embracing changing inequitable structures and practices. However, a closer look at this noisy and socially connected environment does prove otherwise, and it sheds light on an interesting phenomenon known as diversity hobbyism. So what exactly is diversity hobbyism? And more importantly, how may it be further contributing to persistent unproductivity that you and I need to undo in the workplace? In his book entitled Politics is Power, Ethan Hirsch argued that our political stagnation is because of political hobbyism, where we treat politics as a hobby like sports. We cheer for our favorite team, boo the other team, and look for excitement in entertainment. Hirsch says political hobbyists follow the news. They read articles and debate the latest developments on social media every single day or on a regular basis. They might sign on an online petition or even donate some money to the presidential campaign or to the local campaigns in each city. Mostly these political hobbyists consume political information as a way of satisfying their own emotional and intellectual needs. These people are political hobbyists, he says. What they're doing is no closer to engaging in politics than watching SportsCenter is to playing football, to playing volleyball, to playing soccer, or any athletic sport that you can think of. Political hobbyists might be allies on social media and display visible welcoming signs in their yards. However, since they are comfortable with the status quo, they are less committed to fighting for basic human needs and local causes. Not only is political hobbyism a waste of time, according to Hirsch, but it has created a culture of instant gratification in outrageous political behavior, where national politics and big-ticket celebrities overshadow local action and hardworking volunteers. Diversity hobbyism, according to Dr. Khilji, appears on social media or parlor discussions as a passionate reaction, announcement, or even story. It is, however, not supported by a solid commitment and action to changing systemic and structural inequities that exist in our cities. And they have existed for decades now. The hollow promises and celebrity-struck culture has further reinforced the cycle of exclusion and disadvantage within organizations and on social media. So diversity, according to Dr. Khilji, is neither entertainment nor a hobby, and it is not getting on the bandwagon. Instead, diversity is deeply embedded in social justice and it shows up in our commitment, positive intentions, and the positive impact we create in our teams, in our departments, and in our communities. For companies, diversity should be much more than creating a brand image or making a business case for some profitable end. And for individuals like you and I, it should be more than gaining a handful of followers on social media and some additional popularity, either as a business person, as a manager, or as a politician. So diversity management should be about examining the privileges that we have and not just crying, DEI is my life, because that only ends up silencing others and commodifying social justice. In other words, it treats social justice as a commodity, as another product. So diversity is about relating with others with a deep sense of humility every single day. It is genuinely caring for socioeconomic inequities and transforming cultures to promote human dignity and well-being for all. The article goes on to say, what can we do to move beyond passion to make a positive impact in society? And in this case, Dr. Shaista Khilji says we can be curious and we can be authentic. Curiosity helps us seek new information and explore novel possibilities and relationships. Authenticity is about engaging with diversity efforts and initiatives through integrity, good intentions, through honesty, sincerity, and courage to intervene at the right moments when you see inequities taking place. This way we go beyond just talking. So curiosity allows us to examine our biases and challenge our own assumptions that we've grown up with or acquired during socialization in society. Curiosity also helps us connect with others and develop more trusting and collaborative relationships by fostering open communication with those around us. Authenticity, on the other hand, is about rolling up our sleeves and doing the hard work emotionally as well as physically. It allows us to move beyond debates. It allows us to ensure our words are consistent with our actions and our actions match the passion we speak with. So in other words, authenticity is about integrity, making sure you do what you say. Authenticity helps us embody our beliefs to inspire trust and to create a positive impact in our departments, in our teams, in our communities, in the workforce. So whether you are an individual interested in diversity, equity, and inclusion, or in organization building DEI systems, making a positive impact begins with approaching diversity with greater curiosity and deeper levels of authenticity. With deeper authenticity and greater levels of curiosity. Authenticity and curiosity are natural human tendencies, proven drivers for learning, and they are also the key to connecting with others, building communities, and challenging the status quo every single day. Research shows that about 80% of workforce performance problems are caused by improper system design and goal allocation, while people tend to cause around 20% of the problems we face in the workplace. So coaches, managers must first remove systemic barriers in order for employees to become outstanding performers through education, through awareness, through training on a periodic basis in the workplace. And diversity, obviously, is one of those topics that requires some education, some awareness, and some training in every specific organization. And one of the topics we should talk about is equity. So equity differs from equality. Equality is about offering everyone the same opportunities. It assumes that everyone has the same skills, the same abilities in starting context with which to achieve success in any capacity. However, an equitable framework is also focused on offering everyone the same opportunities. However, it also includes explicit actions to eliminate bias and to ensure that all team members, all employees, all of our colleagues have the support that they need to achieve success regardless of their own individual or experiential differences. So we need to focus on equity. In other words, we need to go beyond equality. And I also suggest that we need to go beyond equity as well to accessibility. We need to make sure every person in the organization have access to transparent information, to the jobs that they desire, to the development that they need, and obviously to the opportunities that are available to everyone else. So if one person does not have access to opportunities for promotion, for getting raises, for rising higher in the hierarchy, then that person is being excluded, and exclusion obviously is not good. So we need to focus on inclusion rather than exclusion, segregation, or integration. It is only through inclusion that people can access the opportunities that they deserve, that they want, that they need, that they should have in society as part of their jobs, as part of their responsibilities, or as part of basically being an employee with the organization. Workplace exclusion, unfortunately, we have seen through research, decreases productivity as it has a negative impact on workers' psychological and physical health. Therefore, we must not exclude people. We must not harass people. We must not bully people in the workplace, because they either leave, or if they stick around, their productivity decreases, and that's not good for synergy or teamwork. So we need to have an inclusive work environment. Just like in the classroom at a university, we need to have an inclusive learning environment. An inclusive learning environment is where all participants, all learners are actively involved and engaged in the learning process, and they can fully relate to the concepts being presented. So that's what we would consider inclusive learning environment. It's where the professor uses he or she. This way, one gender is not being included. This way, the professor uses, or the teacher or the coach or the facilitator uses examples that all students can relate to. So they may not be able to relate to all of the examples, but they can relate to some of them. And that's what we call inclusion, where we diversify our examples and our stories to demonstrate the concepts and points being presented. So in order to create inclusion, we need to think creatively to engage everyone in the discussion. And sometimes it means we need to step aside and have an icebreaker in the class to get everyone to participate. So I would like for you to participate now. So in this case, I'm going to pick on you, Samantha. Let's say this is a puzzle. So you can answer. There are 10 birds sitting on an electric line. A hunter shot down 3 of the birds with a loud gun. How many birds are left on the electricity line? What do you think?
I mean, my guess is that they probably all went away because of the loud noise.
Very good. Good job, Samantha. Exactly. So if we think about this objectively, obviously, oftentimes we say, well, he shot down 3 of them. So there were 10, there must be 7 left. But the idea here is to be creative. Don't stick with just numbers, right? And that's what diversity requires. We need to go beyond just numbers to the humanity, to the sincerity, to the humility that is needed in the workplace. So good job. Yeah, all of those birds probably flew away immediately as soon as they heard the gunshot. But unfortunately, 3 of them obviously became victims here in the hunting process. Here's another one for you. Layla's mom has 4 daughters. 3 of the daughters are named April, May, and June. What is the 4th daughter's name? What do you think, Samantha?
Layla.
Good job. So you don't think it is July, huh?
Mm-mm.
Good job, good job. Well, thank you for participating. See, this is just an icebreaker, a way for trainers, for coaches, for facilitators, for teachers, for professors to engage their audience in the learning process through innovation, through creativity, through diversity of examples. We need to create an inclusive culture. An inclusive culture exists where members of each group can be heterogeneous, and together they create a distinctive competitive advantage through teamwork and their unique cultural knowledge as individual members of this group. That is the only way to create synergy, through inclusion and good teamwork. In summary, let me say that each country's diverse people groups must all hang together as one team in order to benefit everyone in their communities and others throughout the world. As a leader, as a manager, you and I need to make sure that we go beyond diversity hobbyism, and we need to conduct an organizational assessment such as diversity audit on a periodic basis. My recommendation would be annually to create inclusion, to make sure everyone has access to all of the opportunities in the organization, and we can set developmental goals for the coming year to make sure diversity discussions are not just a hobby, but actually action-oriented. Action-oriented. Diversity hobbyism cannot take us beyond where we are. It cannot create inclusion. It's only through action, through curiosity, through authenticity that we can create a better work environment for all. Remember that it is what is inside the person that makes a difference. So be more than a diversity hobbyist. Learn well individually, and remember that together we can move the world. Good luck to you, and I look forward to seeing some of your presentations on diversity-related articles.